Is that his question?
Yeah.
I'm not
Does a
hearing very
retirement
well.
system ever loan money back to county departments and have it paid back?
Or transfer, if they want to call it transfer, and then it's transferred back.
No. The treasurer has on occasion. The county itself has about $100 million pool that's invested, basically in money markets, and they occasionally will fund projects for various county departments. But the retirement system hasn't loaned the county money since the late 70s, early 80s, and that time they helped build a building that is now out at where the administration area is. It was at the time the county schools and probation, I believe. The retirement system did lend the county that money. It's been paid back many, many years ago, and really it doesn't make sense for the county to borrow from us at 8% when they can borrow money in the municipal bond market for a much lesser rate.
So there are loans made at 8% at some point to others?
There was, as I said, one loan back in late 70s, and it was paid off probably in the mid-80s. That's the only one that has ever occurred that I'm aware of.
My follow-up question is concerning, since you were the auditor, as I understood it, for the whole county system, how much does asset forfeiture and seizure money play into departments within the county and possibly into the retirement system?
I was not the county auditor. I was the county treasurer. I can't speak about asset forfeiture money at all. I never worked with it when I was in the treasurer's office, but I do know it has nothing to do with the retirement system.
Okay, well, with the Measure B issue and that election still not resolved, that's on a lot of people's minds, and maybe you could direct me as to any of you, Jay Johnson possibly, who maybe you could mention who might be a person who could respond to that with some accuracy.
Thanks, caller. This is Jay. If you want to talk more about these kind of issues and if you want to see the county budget, you can go to ukiahvalley.tv and go ahead and click on the links, and I'll be willing to put you on TV, and there's lots of information there, so check it out.
Right on.
Thanks, caller.
I love your show. And it's 24 hours a day. Is that correct?
On all the time, video on demand.
All the time. Truth all the time. And nothing but the truth. Tim, we have 6 precious minutes. And it's like I want to take you out for lunch. I know you won't accept my offer, but there's so much I want to know.
John, there is one thing I did want to get in, and Jay had mentioned that we would do this, and if there's only 6 minutes, I did want to give you some information on our returns over the last number of years.
Looking at the performance, yeah.
Yeah, that's been mentioned by a few people, so I'm
one of them.
Yes. I'll go down real quick. This is information we put together when we were talking about independence. There's a lot of reasons why this doesn't make a good comparison, and we won't get into that because of a time shortage. But tell you this, in 2004, our return was 18.05%. We were only beat by 2 counties in the state, San Diego and Marin. CalPERS came in number 8. We came in number 3. In 2005, we were number 6 with a 10.87 return. We were beat by CalPERS and 5 counties, L.A., Tulare, Kern, and Fresno. 2006, we dropped down a little bit. Our return was 12.06, and we were number 10. Again, we beat CalPERS. They were number 11, and there were some San Diego. They're fairly, I would say, risky in their investments, but the larger counties beat us that year.
Tim, in all these, how does it compare to the market indexes? How much above and beyond is it that, and is it portfolio investment, or is it retarees contributing?
This is just return on investment.
And so how does that compare to the market? There's the basic market indexes, take S&P or the Dow, or how does this compare? I mean, you're comparing to CalPERS and other counties, and in my experience in the IT world, I wouldn't compare anything I did in IT to other counties because they're so far behind the curve. I'm assuming it could be the same in the finance world.
Right, and the one I have in front of me right now is 2007. I don't have everyone else's return, but so far out of 16 counties, we're number 7 with an 18.07, and that compares to our market of 17.02. So we did beat our market that year. I could dig out the other information, but it would take too long. For the other years, it would take too long. But this year we did beat our target. It's actually our policy index is what I would compare it to.
Tim, I came to you 4 years ago. I came to your board 4 years ago, as you know, and I came to you as a lifelong money manager, as a hedge fund manager in particular. My job has been not simply to get acceptable performance year after year, consistency in returns, but also to avoid what I call the meta-catastrophic year, or what is now commonly being called the black swan on Wall Street. We've seen something of the black swan kind of roosting in the market nowadays with the dollar. I think I came here in January 2001, and the dollar was trading at 82 cents versus the dollar is now trading at 154, 155 versus the dollar. We've seen a tremendous blow-off in credit markets, etc. I'm managing for risk as much as I'm managing for return. That's what's kept me in business in a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. When I came to you 4 years ago, I was recommending things like international bond funds, international currency funds, the stock funds of dollar-denominated commodities like oil, which probably been up 200 or 300% since I came to you 4 years ago.
And all of these complicated things we'll talk about in future shows, so the listeners can understand these
exactly.
more.
Long short funds, contrarian funds. It went in one ear and out the other. I think all these things could have not just achieved some even more superior performance than what you've achieved, but also could have been hedged against that meta-catastrophic events that we're now experiencing in the market. Do you have any comment?
Well, I would say 4 years ago when you came before us, we were a $250 million fund. I happen to remember looking at a magazine that I read that CalPERS had only invested 1% of their fund in hedge funds. I think you had mentioned something like 5%.
Interrupt you, but I never mentioned the H word. Never said hedge funds. I'm talking about everything that trades as a mutual fund.
So I guess the real question here, Tim, is would you be willing to listen to more advice, or would Peter Chan be willing to listen to more advice, or would the board be willing to go out to RFP and look at different ways to manage the money? Because John has some good ideas, possibly, maybe not. Maybe that they're smoke and mirrors. Who knows? But is there any way to look at the performance and help to manage the county's money in any way?
Well, I think we have a very, very good conservative board that is more concerned about the preserving the assets of the system. One thing that I've always learned in dealing with investments, in fact, the acronym we had when I was treasurer was SLY. Safety, liquidity, and yield. Yield is the last thing we search for.
Right.
And our board, we have a new asset allocation done every 3 years. And at that time, we look at how much risk we're willing to take and how much risk we should take with other people's money. It's not our money. And we establish our investment policy based on the amount of risk that we're willing to take. And then beyond that, we choose as well-performing mutual funds as we can pick, and we stay with that. And we think we're getting good information from Peter, so I think we're going to stay at that.
All right, so it seems